been a little while since I've done a live stream on YouTube, and one of the things that I've wanted to do more often in 2026 is go live on YouTube, because I do so much. For those of you who don't know who I am, I teach so much on Zoom twice a week. I teach here, and then I teach over at Open Studio 3 days a week. I do a lot of live one-on-one teaching on Zoom. And so one of the things I really want to do is get more into doing this here on YouTube, because it's just fun to hang out with some new people and that kind of stuff. So what I want to do today is, I know a lot of us are getting ready to play some stuff for the holidays, and I thought it would be fun to show you a little bit about how I teach things in terms of chord voicings and stuff like that. So we're going to work with on some chord voicings, some two-handed chord voicings that give us a nice big lush sound that sound kind of like this. This one. All right, so that's the gist of what we're going to be doing here today. We're going to start with I'll Be Home for Christmas. If you have not played this tune before, you can grab a lead sheet down in the description underneath this video. There's a link. There's a link you can go to download the PDF of this lead sheet that we'll be working on here together today. And then from there, we're going to work through that. Okay, and so the other thing that's going on right now is that I have a Black Friday sale happening. Today is the last day. I've got a thing here to show you. I'm all fancy here. All right. I've got a Black Friday sale going on. Today is the last day. It's been going on for the last week or so. All three of my kind of flagship courses, that would be my jazz piano chord voicings course, which is what we're going to be working on today, some chord voicing stuff, is $59, as is my brand new beginning improvisation course and the comping course, which is mostly around rhythms and stuff like that. All of those are on sale today for $59 each, or you can get a bundle of all three of them, even further discounted for $150. So that's the deal. That's the deal. Anyway, so let's take a look at what I do with my chord voicing. So here's how I like to think about this. We're going to be talking mostly about rootless chord voicings and two-handed chord voicings. So when we do that, we're going to be talking about a sound like this. So this is like a C major chord. And so the way that I like to think about this is, when you're playing your chords, if you've been playing piano for a while, we oftentimes think about the root, and then we anchor everything we do off of the root. Now, when we're playing these more lush voicings, we're going to be playing what's called rootless voicings, which means the root isn't in them, right? So I find it actually is there's a little bit of a mental overhead that we have to get over if we want to play these rootless voicings with great fluency, which is that we need to start to think about our chords anchored off of a note that isn't the root. Because if you think about the root too much, right, there's like there's a little bit of mathematics that you have to do to first think of the root and then find the rest of the notes. If we can start by anchoring ourselves on the third of the chord instead of the root. So when you see C major, for example, your brain immediately, without any hesitation, thinks E, thinks the third, instead of thinks C. It's going to help us unlock a lot of this stuff. So one of the things I like to do when I go through this is just practice finding the thirds of the chords. I know this sounds easy. But it's one of those things where, can you really do it fluent with good time? So what I want to do is I want to open up a tune. We're going to open up a song here. Here we go. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Looks like this, okay? And if we just look at the first couple measures, what we want to do is we're going to be talking about left-hand voicings here first. So if we start with our C major chord, C6, we're going to think C major 7, but C major. Instead of thinking C, what we want to do is think E. As quickly as possible, we want to we want to fix our brain to get us thinking about E first. And we're going to be playing two note voicings in our left hand, which means the E could be in one of two positions. It could be on the bottom, using the pinky or fourth finger, or it could be on top, which would be almost always played with our thumb, right? It can only be in those two positions if we're playing two different notes. So let's go through the first couple measures here of Have Yourself a Merry, or what is this? Yeah, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I don't go live on here very much. Let's go through the first few bars and just see if we can find the third. And we're going to find the third in our pinky on all of these voicings, just using the third in our left hand. Okay, so C6, the third, E, play with our pinky. A minor 7, the third, C in our pinky. D minor, the third, is F in our pinky. And then G7, the third, is B in our pinky. One more time. E for the C major chord. A minor is C. D minor is F. And G7 is B. Okay, I know this seems elementary, but it is so important that you don't have to think about the root really at all. You don't have to give yourself any time to compute what the third is. You should just know it, all right? Let's try it again, but this time let's put the thirds on top. So again, for C major, we're going to put the E on top. For A minor, we're going to put the C on top. For D minor, we put the F on top. And for G7, we put the B on top. Am I making sense? I see you guys here. Say hello in the chat if you're here, so I can just say hello. Let me know where you're coming from. All right. A minor, D minor, and G7 has got the B. Okay, so to bring this to a two-note voicing, I have this kind of interesting concept that I've not seen anybody else teach, but when I was first trying to learn how to do these voicings, this was the thing that unlocked it for me. This is the thing that unlocked it for me, which was learning to trust my hand shapes, okay? So I struggled with this for so long, and this was a big deal. I know this seems so silly and simple, but trust me, like this really works. Okay, so let's start with that third in our left hand. If we're thinking about C major 7, not C6, let's make this 7. C major 7, C major 7. We're going to put the third on the bottom, anchor with the E on the bottom, and then we're going to trust our hand shape. So our hand, naturally, when we put it down on the piano, we give a key to every finger, is going to create a fifth, an open fifth, right? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I see you. This makes sense. Good way to get this on autopilot. Cool. Thank you. Okay, I'm glad. Thank you. All right, so we got a third on the bottom, and we're going to just trust our hand shape to play that open fifth. Without even thinking about what note I'm playing on top, I'm playing the seventh of the chord. So this is what I would call a shell voicing, right? 3 and 7 in our left hand. And the cool thing is this works for all of our major chords, all of our minor chords. So when we go to A minor 7, let's do it again. A minor 7, we find the third, which is C. And then we're gonna trust our hand shape of that fifth, and it's gonna give us the G. So between C and A minor, just go back and forth. These two chords should feel basically the same underhand, right? It has the same muscle feeling. Let's go to D minor. So D minor is F on the bottom, and then we trust our hand shape, and it gives us C on top. We're gonna come back to the G7 in a second, because we have to, our dominants are a little teeny tiny exception that we're gonna talk about. So again, C major, the A, and the D, all of them have the same exact hand shape. And so now you can say, hey, Stretch Bachelor, what's up, man? I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, it's good to have you. Yeah, I was bored today. My whole family is sick. We ate too much turkey for Thanksgiving. I'm like, what the heck? I'm going to come hang out with my friends on YouTube. So I'm glad that you're here. Cool. All right. Thank you. All right. So one of the aha moments for me here is that if you play an open fifth in your left hand, no matter what the open fifth is, it is some kind of major chord, right? It's going to be whatever major chord has that third on the bottom. So if we take this one with the E flat on the bottom, or D sharp might be an easier way to think about this. This is going to be B major 7. Okay, if we take A flat on the bottom, or G sharp, that's going to be an E major. Or if we put a D on the bottom, it's B flat major. So whatever the bottom note is the third, you can just play an open fifth in the bottom and you automatically get it. Now the cool thing about this, and this, I tell you, it seems so trivial, it's so simple, but it is so, it's so helpful, genuinely, is let's do it the other way around, where we put the third on top. So go back to C major, we're gonna put the E on top in our thumb. And again, we're going to trust our hand shape, but now instead of playing the fifth with our pinky, we're going to play a fourth with our fourth finger. All right? And the same exact thing happens, right? This is now a C major 7 with the third and the seventh, the shell voicing. But we can just trust our hand shape anywhere on the piano that we play a fourth. So let's do our A minor, put the C on top. We go down, we play that fourth underneath it. Just trust your hand shape. Get you G, that's the A minor 7. Same thing for the D minor 7. put the F on top, and then the C. So you only have two of these really to learn, right? You've got an A version. If we do the C major 7 again, C major 7, you got the A version with the E on the bottom, or the B version with the E on top. And you can just trust that your hand shape will get you there. Okay, so now the trick to this, because if you only play all A voicings, right, is that this gets to be choppy and the voice leading sucks. So we need to like use a combination of these A and B voicings to figure out kind of how to get the right sound there, if that makes sense. So if we start with C major 7 with the E on the bottom, we have two options for A minor. We could go to the A minor that's down here with the C on the bottom, or we could go to the A minor with the C on top, right, and switch our voicing. So let's do that. Let's go from the C major here with E on the bottom to A minor 7 with the C on top. And now we're playing that fourth. Now to get to the D minor 7, look where our F is. This is the trick, right? It's like you're always kind of spying where's the third of the chord. You've got two options for the third of this chord. For the F, it could be up here, or it could be here. Well, you can tell just from like looking at it, right, that this one is closer. So we're gonna go here, and we're gonna trust our hand shape. In fact, the top note doesn't even move in this particular case. So C major to A with the C on top, to F, or to D minor with the F on the bottom, and then we'll get to G7 in a second. Am I making sense? I know this is kind of like a little bit controversial because there's so many nerds in jazz, myself included, who really want to think about the third of the chord and the relationships between everything and all of this stuff, that when you think about this practically and tactically, it can be a little bit of like a mental challenge for us to be like, can it really be this simple? And of course, like we're going to build on top of this and it's going to get more complicated. But from like a very beginning standpoint, like this, it, to me, is the foundation of everything, is just find the 3 and 7 and just learn to trust your hand shape and play these by feel. Okay, so as an exercise, what I would encourage you to do is go through and find all of these and see if you can name them. So start with the C on the bottom. What chord is that? That's A flat major, then A major, B flat major, right? You just get the point. And also, the other thing I should mention, this is all major and minor chords are the same shape. This was like, to me, right? So if I put the C on the bottom, this could be A flat major, but it could also be A minor. It's the same exact shape. The same exact shape, right? So our major and minor chords really have the same tactical feel in our hands. Okay, but we're going to talk about two-handed voicings here. Actually, before we do that, let's talk about this dominant chord. Let's talk about this G7. So if you know about dominant chords, the most important thing about the dominant chord, the thing that gives it the dominant chordness, it's what I called it in my last video, the sound of the dominant chord is a tritone, not a fourth or not a fifth, right? It's in between. So if we're playing G7, we can do the same idea. We're going to look for the third. Let's put the third on top. And we're going to look for a tritone underneath it. So this is going to be an F. Now the thing that really helps this is you can really anchor this still off of your voicings you already know. So you can think about this being an open fifth and just kind of close it up by one note, bring that bottom note up, or you can think about it as the fourth and bring it down because it's right in between those two voicings. But for the dominant chords, we really have to have that tritone in the bottom. There's one more thing we'll have to talk about, but we'll do that when we get in 20 minutes, when we get down to the half diminished chords and stuff, okay? So to play all four of these voicings, C major, A minor, D, and then the G7 has got that F and B in it. If anybody has questions or is confused about what I'm talking about here, throw them in the chat. I'm happy to kind of pause and work through those. I'm going to reach down and play the roots so you can hear them in context. All right, I think a lot of us have probably spent time doing these shell voicings before. It's one of those things that's taught in the Mark Levine jazz piano book and basically every book ever written, right? Like I didn't invent this. This is super simple. The thing that was a key insight for me was that idea of the hand shape and being able to just trust the hand shape. So we're going to build on that idea with our right hand, because believe it or not, the same thing happens in our right hand. Okay, so let's look at the right hand. But instead of anchoring off the third, we're going to anchor off the fifth. So if we're playing this C major 6 chord or C major 7 chord, we want to now in our right hand look for the fifth. So what's the fifth? The fifth is G. And again, we're going to be playing 2 notes, so you can play this on the bottom or on the top of your voicing. So either in your thumb to put it on the bottom, or up in our 4th or 5th finger to put it on top. Okay, and again, we're going to trust our hand shape. So if we're going to play this voicing, let's put our third on the bottom and our fifth on top. And let's just go through these chords one at a time and see if we can find them. So here's C major with that G on top. Then we got an A minor. Here's our A minor with the C on top. And now we're going to put the fifth of A. Where's the fifth of A? Here. E. Now for D, 3 and 7. And where's the fifth? Here. And then G7. Where's the fifth? Here. Here's the D. So we'll do that again. So C, we're going to look for the fifth. A minor, the fifth. D minor. And then G. G7, which is that tritone on the bottom and our fifth on top. Now on our right hand, we can trust our same hand shapes. We can trust the same hand shapes. So we can either play, if we have the fifth on top, we can trust that we have a fourth underneath it. So we can put our hand in that hand shape of all 5 notes and use our second finger. And that gets us that perfect fifth. So this, if you're a nerd like me, gets you the fifth on top and the ninth on the bottom. And when you combine those with the left hand, there you go. There's our full 2-handed C major voicing. Now, if you put the G on the bottom, the fifth on the bottom with our thumb, and we trust our hand shape, we're going to play the fifth on top. That's our D. So notice it's the same 2 hand shapes. It's either an open fourth or it's an open fifth. The same exact shapes that we used in our left hand are going to get us there. So here or here. Here's the A version. Here's the B voicing. The A version, E, B, D, G, or B, E, G, D. 2 different voicings for the same chord. Now look at this. In our A voicing, we have an open fifth in our left hand, and we have a fourth in our right hand. So we have both the fifth and the fourth. When we invert this, we put the fourth on the bottom, and then we put the fifth on top. So again, we have the fourth in one hand and the fifth in the other. Whichever hand is doing the fifth, you know that you can use the fourth in the other. Again, you will start to tactically understand and intuitively feel these hand shapes as we go through and play. All right, let's do all 4 of these chords. C major 7. That's E, B, D, and G. A minor 7. We're going to put the third here on C. And then we're going to look for the fifth, E. And since we got a fourth in our left hand, we're going to put the fifth in our right hand. Our D7, we're going to put the third on the bottom and trust our hand shape. Now we're going to look for the fifth and put that fourth underneath it. And then for G7, same idea. Third on top. We're going to do the tritone in this case, right? Because it's a dominant chord. We're going to look for the fifth, which is D, and then trust our hand shape here. Okay, so together in good time. 1, 2, good time. Sounds so good, right? I'm really not even thinking about anything except for what's the third of the chord, to be honest, right? I'm thinking about, in my left hand, am I going to put that third on the top or on the bottom? And for the rest of it, I'm kind of just trusting my hand shapes will get me there. Let's pick it up a little bit. So if you play in like a big band in school or with a trio in a community or whatever, these voicings are so good. If you look these up in books and stuff like that, these are often called 3-7-9-5, 3-7-9-5, or 7-3-5-9 voicings. But I think that's too nerdy. All right? Just trust the hand shapes. Honestly, it's so useful to just trust the hand shapes. Okay, another thing I want to point out that's a little bit of like a help if you're working through these is remember we have 2 anchor points, one in each hand, the third. Let's go back to C major. So we got the third on the bottom, and then we've got the fifth is the anchor point on top. So the third and the fifth are either going to be best friends, meaning they're going to be together, they're going to be locked right together, or they're going to be worst enemies, meaning they're going to be as far apart from each other as possible. Okay, so in this case, with the third on the bottom, we're going to have the fifth as far away as possible on top here. So that means our 2 other notes are going to be in the middle. So in our A voicing, our E and G, our third and fifth, they're worst enemies. They're trying to stay away from each other. But in our other voicing, where you have the third on top in our left hand, and then they have the fifth on bottom, now they're best friends. They're right next to each other. Right? All right. I hope that's a little thing that does help me sometimes, because as I'm working on my voice leading, I'm watching the third in my left hand and trying to figure out how to create the smoothest line with the third, and then I know that the hand shapes are going to get me there. But sometimes it's useful to know third's on the bottom, the fifth's going to be on top, etc. All right, so just give me like a thumbs up in the chat if this is making sense or if you have any questions, because as we move on from this and we don't get it, we're just going to be confused. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. This is fun. All right. While you guys are giving me your thumbs up, because we're on like a 10 or 15 second delay, reminder for those of you who just joined, today is our Black Friday sale going on right now. There are a few different options. You can buy any of my individual courses, my 3 flagship courses, the beginning improvisation course, which just came out a few days ago. I think it's the best thing I've ever done. With my chord voicings course, which handles exactly what we're talking about here, but just in much more slower, broken down. I think there's like 30 videos in there. Or the comping course, which is all about rhythm. Each one of those courses is $59 today, or you can get all 3 for $150. If you like these live streams like this, I go live every Tuesday and every Friday with the members in my community. So you can always become a membership over there too and come do live streams like this twice a week. I'm not so nervous on Zoom. It's just unique here on YouTube. Anyway, okay, I want to show you one more thing that happens when we put these together. Okay, we very often run into this progression called the 2-5 or the 2-5-1. Thank you, Ambrose. I appreciate it. All right, so thanks for confirming. We very often run into 2-5s and 2-5-1 progressions, right? I'm not going to go into spelling out what that is. I trust you guys know that. But there's something interesting that happens when we play these hand shapes this way that makes this even easier. So let's look at our D minor. We're going to put the F on the bottom, the third on the bottom. So we've got that fifth in our left hand. And then we're going to look for the fifth of the chord, A, in our right hand and put that open fourth on the top. So there's our D minor chord. Now, if you know this is a 2-5, where's my pen? There we go. My 2-5 in the key of C, right? This is a 2-5 that's going to C major. What you can do is for the 5 chord, don't even move the right hand at all. Leave it exactly where it is. You're only going to move the note in the left hand. So from these in our left hand for the D minor becomes this for G7. Just that one note changes, right? The 7th of the D minor becomes the 3rd of the G7. And our right hand is going to stay exactly where it is. Our right hand is kind of playing the D minor notes for both. Okay, so this, because they're dominant chords, like dominant chords exist to be dissonant. The whole purpose of a dominant chord is to be a little bit tense. So what we end up doing here is we end up substituting, without even thinking about this from the nerdy theory perspective, instead of playing D and A, which would be our 5 and our 9, we end up playing E and A, which is our 13 and our 9. And sometimes it's hard to think about these upper extensions, right? To find those 13s and sharp 11s and stuff like that quickly like this. But if you follow this rule where the right hand doesn't move, it happens automatically without thinking about it at all. Oh, my keyboard is off. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Keith. Let me do this again. Thank you. I appreciate you, because I'll spell it out for you again. I told you, I'm used to doing this on Zoom where people will just come off mute and scream at me. But all right, Keith, tell me something. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. All right. So let's do this again from the D minor. And actually, let me put the screen back on so you can see this too. D minor and G7. There's our D minor chord, right? 3, 7, 9, 5. And then for the G7, here we go again. 7, 3. And then you get this 13 instead of the 9. Just by not moving the notes of our right hand, we can leave them where they were. They become the 13 and the 9. Is that better, Keith? All right. Thank you for calling me out. That's my 15th mistake of the day. All right. Now this happens both in major and minor 2/5s. By the way, we haven't talked about minor 2/5s yet, but when we get here, there's kind of a thing you have to learn when we go into the minor 2/5s, is that the 5 chord has to be altered. We have to bring the flat 9 in, often the flat 13 or the sharp 9, in order for it to fit the minor key tonality. And this same rule applies. So if I play a 2 chord in C minor, wait, hang on. If I play a 2 chord in C minor, which would be this F half diminished. Why am I freaking out? There we go. Brain fart. Too much turkey this week. There's our D minor. Here's our D half diminished. There we go. Man, too much turkey. Okay, I'm not going to spell out this chord for you yet. We're going to get here in a second as to how we got the half diminished. But 2, and now look what happens if we have a D half diminished that goes to G7. Our left hand is going to make the same move to put the 3rd on top, and our right hand is going to stay the same, exactly where it is. But now look at this chord. Right, this G7 now has flat 9 and flat 13. So this little rule of just whenever you see a 2/5, don't move the right hand, automatically takes care of whether you're in major or whether you're in minor. It automatically gives you the right dominant chord voicing. All right, anyway, I know that was a little bit of a diatribe, and I lost my keyboard there for a second, but okay, cool. I hope that makes sense. So let's look at this. Let's go look at I'll Be Home for Christmas. I'll Be Home for Christmas. Here we go. We're in the key of E flat. So we're going to look at just, we'll probably look at just the A section here to get through this. But it gives you so much. Gives you such a nice rich chord voicing. And all I'm doing here, I know I'm playing a root now on the bottom. I'm playing solo, so I have to be my own bass player. And I'm also putting the melody on top. But all of those notes in the middle are the voicings that I just showed you. Exactly the same voicings that I just showed you. So let's go through these chord by chord. There are a couple new things that we will uncover along the way. Like this E flat 6 chord. E flat 6 is a new. We've been playing E flat major 7. So if you see a 6 chord, you can just change the 7 into 6, or you can do the cheater move that I'm about to do, which is rewrite the sheet. Rewrite the sheet to be E flat major 7 instead, so that our rules apply. Okay, E flat major 7. So we're going to be looking, right, we're anchoring this off of the 3rd. So the first thing our brain is going to do is think, what's the 3rd of, this is E flat major, not E major. The first thing our brain is going to do is think, what is the 3rd of this chord? Okay, and the 3rd of E flat is G. And are we going to put that on the bottom or the top? Well, I'm going to put it on the bottom here, because otherwise it gets a little bit low for chords down here. So we're going to put it in our pinky, and we're not going to just trust our hand shape, our open 5th. Right? Don't have to think it all for a second. What is the major 7th of E flat major? It just happens for us. Okay, now we're going to look for our 5 of this chord. Our 5 of E flat major is B flat. And because we have the 3rd on the bottom, our B flat is going to be its worst enemy, right? As we talked about before, B flat on top. And we're going to trust our hand shape, put the 4th underneath it. So there it is. There's E flat major 7, G, D, F, B flat. There it is. Everybody everybody see how I got there? If you have questions, again, feel free to ask. Our next chord, G flat diminished. We haven't talked about how to do this in diminished. It doesn't quite work exactly the same way because diminished chords are built by stacking minor thirds, and we're stacking fourths and fifths here. So I'm just going to give you a shortcut, just something quick to do, which is just take 3 or 4 different notes, right? You just don't want to duplicate any of the notes. So maybe here for this one, we'll put the G flat on the bottom and a C, and we'll play an A in our right hand maybe. Just make sure we get 3 different notes from the diminished. If you want to put the E flat in there to get all of them, you can do that too. But it gives you, notice, kind of a similar spread voicing sound. So for the diminished, just going to use those 3 notes. Okay, going to F minor. Again, going nice and slow. First thing we think about is anchoring off the third. So we just played this chord. We're going to be looking for the third of F minor, which is A flat. You can see it's right here nice and close. Are we going to pick this one? No, that would be stupid, right? Or up here? Probably not. This one is already nice and close for our left hand, so it's obvious. We're going to put it here, we're going to put it on the bottom, and trust our hand shape. And then we're going to look for the fifth, its worst enemy, on the outside, and trust the fourth hand shape in our right hand. Okay. Now remember our rule here. This F minor is a 2, and this B flat 7 is a 5. This is a 2-5 in the key of E flat. Remember, when we have a 2-5, our right hand doesn't move, only our left hand does. So we're gonna move to find the third of the B flat, and then move there. And you get this nice colorful dominant chord, a B flat 13 chord. F minor to B flat 13. All right, cool. From the beginning again. All right, so we've got 3, 5, 7, 9. Open fifth in the left hand, fourth in the right. Then our diminished. F minor is the fifth on the bottom and the fourth on top. And then just move that one note. Leave our right hand alone for B flat 7. Okay, now as we move into the next line, we have to talk about this half diminished chord. So let's just functionally here. This is a 2 chord. This is a 5 chord, right? And then this is our 1 chord. So this is a 2-5-1 in F minor. So we're going to have our rule where our right hand stays the same. You notice they wrote in the flat 9, but we don't even have to think about that, really, because our right hand's going to take care of it automatically when we do this. So a minor chord, a 2 chord in minor is a half diminished chord, or as some people call it, a minor 7 with a flat 5. And that's really the trick to making this work, is we're going to think about this first as G minor. So G minor, look for the third, B flat, let's put that on top. So we're going to think open fourth in the bottom. And then we're going to look for our fifth in the top. Because our third is on top here, our fifth, D, is going to be here. They're going to be best friends, right next to each other. And then we put the open fifth on top. This gives us a voicing for G minor. G minor. Now, the half diminished chord being a minor chord with a flat 5, well, maybe you can reason your way into what we're about to do, which is take the 5 and flat it. But we're actually just going to move the whole hand. We're going to flat both notes in our right hand. And there you go. So we've got F, B flat, D flat, which is our flat 5, and A flat, which is the flat 9. That's a little bit controversial. I'll fight you in the comments over that. There are times when you want the flat 9 and not, but we're not going to even open that can of worms today. That's how you find the half diminished chord, though. First find your minor, and then move your right hand down a half step. Okay, from here, it's not so scary anymore. The chords look a little scary. G half diminished to C7 altered. But remember, because it's a 2-5, we're not even going to move our right hand. Leave it exactly where it is, and just figure out, how do I turn this into C7? Well, we're looking for the third. Where's the third of C7? Right there. So I'm just gonna move down here. So there's G half diminished to C7. Altered automatically. Isn't that nice? Like, you don't have to think about all the nerdy of what's the 9 and do I flat it? What's the 13? And then what do I flat? Like, you can just leave the hand shape where it is. It's so useful to have. In fact, you can do fun moves like play a C7. Right, here's the regular 9, regular 13, and then move them. to create some movement in your playing. Right? These notes in our right hand, the 9th and the 13th, whenever we talk about altering a dominant chord, those are the notes that we alter, right? We either flat the 9 or sharp the 9 or flat the 13. There's a sharp 11 in there too, but that's a different situation. So by having the 9 and the 5 in our right hand, we know that the altered notes that we could potentially use are only a half step away from these, right? The flat 9 is a half step down. The sharp 9 is a half step up. And the flat 13 is a half step down from the top note. So here's C7, C7 flat 9, flat 13, or you could even do like a traditional C7 altered, which is sharp 9 and flat 13. Yeah, there's a little move in there I call the collapse or the expand. Here, we're gonna take both of these notes and bring them in a half step, and that gets you the altered. That's the collapse. Okay, anyway, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there, but it's so nice to be able to have those movements. All right, so coming back, G half diminished, 3, 7, and we find the flat 5 and the flat 9. We started with the minor, we moved it down a half step. Okay, C7, just changed that one note in our left hand. Now we gotta go to F minor 7. We know this. So F minor, think about, where's the third of F minor, A flat. So we're coming from here, there's one right there, right? Are we gonna go here? Nope, that's silly. Are we gonna go here? Nope, that's silly. It's right here, right? So just go find that, and now you have two options. You can either put your hand shape here with the note on top, or here with the note on bottom. It's your choice. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna put the note on the bottom. Trust our open 5th. Now for F minor, we're looking for the 5th. C, these are worst enemies, so they're gonna be far apart. And we get F minor. Now notice in this case here, let me go to blue, F minor is another 2 chord, and B flat 7 is another 5 chord, right? This time back in the key of E flat. So that F minor is kind of doing double duty. It's the 1 chord of the last progression and the 2 chord of the new one. But again, because of this, F minor to B flat, we're not gonna move our right hand. It's a 2-5. And then we land back on E flat major. I wanna pause just for a second. We doing good? Anybody got questions? Feel free to throw them in the chat. Cool. This is so fun. I love this stuff. So if we play this from the top, let's just use these voicings, but now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a bass note on the bottom of it. Now this depends on whether or not you have a bass player. If you have a bass player with you, you obviously don't have to worry about playing the roots or the bass notes at all. If you're playing for your family at home on Christmas, unless you're really cool and have a family member who plays the upright bass, which I do not, then you're gonna have to do that yourself. Will this be able to be rewatched? Yes, I will post this. It'll be on the channel in the live tab of the channel. So as long as you go over there and subscribe, you should see it there. It's good to have you. If you've got to leave, no problem. But yeah, it will be there for you to watch and replay. Or otherwise, you can always come on a Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. On Zoom. There's a link down in the description underneath this, by the way, that says like if you're a piano player and join 5,000 of us, learn how to play. If you fill out your name down there, you'll be invited to come to our workshops every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Zoom, and we can do this interactively where you can play and get feedback and stuff like that from me. It's totally free. The newsletter, I think, is one of the most popular jazz newsletters in existence right now. That's according to my mom, but it's up there. It's one of, I'd say, top 5. It's very popular. And then the live workshops on Fridays are always fun. You're welcome to come as my guest. The workshops on Tuesday afternoons are for members only. And so come try us out on Fridays. Just hang out for free. If the membership's for you, we'd love to have you, but no pressure. Okay, so coming back to this now. Keith says he paid full prices and it's worth every dollar. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Keith. You're my favorite person in the world. And thank you for paying full price, but luckily for the rest of you, you don't have to. They're on sale till midnight tonight for only $59. $59. You can grab all 3 of them. So come do that. It'll be fun. I'm going to put my keyboard back on just for you, Keith, so I don't forget this time. Okay, cool. All right, so if we're gonna play this without a bass player, because we don't have a bass player in the family like most of us, right? We have to then kind of do this like, it's kind of a stride piano left thing, although I don't like to call it stride because stride implies a stylistic thing that we're not gonna be doing. But we're gonna be playing the root down here toward the bottom of the piano in our left hand, and then our left hand's gonna jump up and play this voicing. So for like the E flat major, we're gonna play the E flat root on the bottom, and then our left hand is gonna move up and play that hand shape that we learned. So hit the bass, hold your pedal down, come up and hit that chord. Now there's something very important we have to be careful of when we do this. The definition of this chord is in our left hand. The three notes that tell us that this is E flat major 7 is E flat, G, and D. The root, the 3, and the 7. Arguably the 3 and the 7 do most of that work. So if we're gonna add our right hand to it, we have to play our right hand in time with the 3 and 7, right? If we play our right hand with the root, we don't know what chord this is yet, right? This could be a whole lot of different things. It's kind of nebulous. It's not until we get these notes that we hear that it's E flat major. So when we play both hands together, we're gonna play the left hand by itself and then come up and play the whole chord together. Hope that's making sense. For our next chord, G half diminished. So let's find our shape first. We said we were going to do this. G flat, C, and A. And we're just picking, it doesn't really matter. I just want to pick 3 different notes from this diminished chord. I don't care which 3 you pick. Just voice lead it nicely. Okay, same idea. Root, all 3 together. Let's do those back to back. E flat major. And then the G flat diminished. Sorry. All right. Let's do our F minor. So here's our shape, right? The 3 and the 7. I definitely think it's worth finding the shape first and then going to add your root. That way you can keep the voice leading in mind. You remember that we came from here and we're going here. If you jump down here, it can be kind of tricky to remember where you came from and make sure that voice leading stays good. So F minor, F on the bottom, we play our voicing. Now remember, our B flat 7 is the 5 chord, so we're not going to even move our right hand. We're just going to move our left hand. So we're going to go down, and there's our B flat 7. Notice where my root is. It's way down here, right? Way down here at the bottom. That's where the bass player would play, so why not us? If it's kind of technically difficult for you to jump that far, I get it, you can play it here. I just don't think it's kind of as rich as it would be down here. Okay, so now we're going for our G half diminished. So hit the G, find our chord. And C7. It's a 2-5, don't move your right hand. F minor. And that's also a 2-5 to B flat 7. And then we're back on F minor. Okay, so this is like so much of jazz. Let me just vent for a second. The thing that I notice all the time in my private students is that they move too fast. They move on too fast. Because like if you look at this concept, it's very easy to understand. Like to get it in our head as knowledge is easy. To get it to come out of our hands fluently with a metronome, with good time, and with good creative musical ideas is an entirely different story. And so what I find happens is people, they're like, I get this, I grok it. As my old computer programmer friends would say, I understand this intellectually. I understand how this works. I'm ready to move on to the next thing. And I would say, no, you're not, until you can play it fluently. And this is going to take quite a lot of work. Inside of the Chord Voicings course, like I said, I break this down, I think, into 12 different videos just to do this thing that I've shown you in the last half an hour, 40 minutes. So we go nice and slow, but also there are some drills and exercises that I give you that will help you make sure you can find these in all 12 keys, and then in both the A and B voicings. There's a lot of these to learn. There's 96 of them, by the way. So again, something that will take you 5 or 10 minutes to understand in your head, to fluently master all 96 permutations of them. I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot to learn. That's so quintessential for jazz, right? Is that, or such the experience with everything in jazz, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That it's easy to understand, quick to understand, and difficult to play. That's the same thing true here. Okay, so from the top. Half diminished to C7 altered, F minor, B flat. Don't move that right hand. All right. So there we go. There we've got a nice accompaniment. So if you're playing for your family at the holidays and they want to sing, this is all you got to do. If they want to sing the melody, don't have to worry about going any further. That's all you got to do. Okay, right? If you want to play the melody for them, this is where you get a little bit of this, like rubbing your belly and tapping your head at the same time kind of thing going on. Because now we have 3 different things that we have to juggle at any given time. We've got the bass note and the chord in the left hand. And we've got these chords in our right hand now, but we also have to add the melody. And all we're going to do for the melody is just make sure it is the topmost voice. So the reason that this starts to get a little bit tricky and you need to go a little bit slow is because you have to give up a little bit of that muscle memory that we've had for playing with these hand shapes now. We've relied so much on like the shape of the 4th and the shape of the 5th because we can depend on one of our chord voicing notes being that top voice. But when we have to put the melody note on top, we can no longer depend on that. So you're now going to be, instead of feeling the shape of those 4ths or 5ths, you're going to be now visualizing them on the piano. Okay, so like for this first one, here's E flat in our left hand. Our right hand is going to have these 2 voicings, right? Here's our 5th and the 9th underneath it. And now we got to figure out where to put the melody. Well, the melody is going to be on top here. Now this melody note, you can either play with the bass note if you want to, and then have the chords come after. That's fine. Or you can actually wait for the melody note and bring it in with the chords too. All right, let's go through these one at a time. E flat major. Okay, now we've got the G flat diminished. So this is the chord we picked. And our melody note F on top. And now F minor. There's our voicing. And the B flat on top. Don't move the right hand. Oh. Don't move the right hand. Now here's an interesting one. The F is here. If we wanted to put the C in here, that works great. The F is our chord tone, but we don't have room for the 9 and the 5, right? If we put the 5th on this chord here, this is fine. But if we put the 9th on it, the 9th either has to go up here or it has to be down here. So they start to clash. That is a pretty hip modern sound, so I think you could get away with that clash. But honestly, in this case, if your hands run into each other, just sacrifice one of the notes. Okay, and then B flat, 7. Yeah, same thing. Don't move your right hand. Leave it where it is. All right. Let's try to do it in time. Nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. sus chord, and our sus chord, our 3, becomes 4, and then it comes down to the next one. And then we can alter that note if we want to. 9 becomes flat 9. Are we seeing the potential here, right? Something that's so simple of those little chord voicings and those hand shapes, those two-handed rootless voicings, can add a lot of richness to these. I want to show you 2 more things before we wrap up here today. And these are things that you have to kind of master this concept pretty well before you add these things on. But if you're coming at this from a perspective where you have you've done this before, or this is easy for you, the next thing you can do is move more of the notes into the left hand. Okay, so if we take our E flat chord here, and we want to make room to play more creative things with our melody, like maybe we want to embellish this melody, or maybe we want to take a solo in our right hand, what we can do is take these 4 notes, we're going to sacrifice the top note, literally just throw it away, and this bottom note in our right hand is going to become part of our left hand. So we're now playing 3 notes in our left hand instead of 2, and it's going to recover whichever of the bottom note of our right hand. It's just going to pick it up for us. So you really have to have these like shapes worked out and internalized and part of you, inside you, where they come out without thinking about it in order for you to be able to play these shapes. But again, throw the top note away and give the bottom note to the left hand. So for our E flat major here in the A voicing, we end up with the 3rd on the bottom, then the 7th, then the 9th. Now, if we do this with the 3rd on top, well, let's put it down here. So our 3rd here, then we trust our hand shape, right? To give us that on the bottom, the 4th. And now we're gonna add the B flat on top, because that would be our two-handed voicing of this. Throw the F away and just keep the B flat. And now play all of them there in your left hand. So now all of a sudden, where's my melody? You notice how in the 2/5s, like this F minor to B flat 7, that idea of my right hand doesn't move also applies here, except now it's not in my right hand, it's just the top note, stays the same. Right, the same idea there works. One more time, let me play it for you again. In this case, I'm not even playing the bass notes at all, right? Of course you could. Some of the time. So you have a lot of flexibility and options here, but don't this again. I have a little bit of a beef. I'll be fair with a lot of the people who teach this on YouTube or the people who write this online, and then they tell you to start with these 3-note rootless voicings in your left hand. And I think it's so much more intuitive if you get those hand shapes in both hands first to the point where you really just know them, and then you can just let your left hand kind of borrow from the right hand there. Anyway, I think it really, really helps. The last thing I want to show you before we hang up here today is the idea of an upper structure. And I'm not going to go into and explain all these to you, but if you remember about an hour ago, we were talking about how the purpose of the dominant chord is to be dissonant, to create tension, and to have that tension be released back to usually the 1 chord, right? To have it build up and have that tension resolve down a 5th or whatever. So we can use the concept of an upper structure triad in our right hand in order to kind of get some kind of classic jazz tensions in there. So I'm just going to give you a couple of these for you to play with. If you want to have the full explanation about what are all the options and how do they work, they're in the course. You can grab it today, $59, right? All of them are spelled out there for you. It's way too much to go into right now, but I want to give you a couple of these just to play with. So here's the gist. We're going to start at the top, and whenever we see a dominant chord, we're going to look for an upper structure we could play. All right, here's here's a B flat 7. And in my right hand, I'm going to play a B minor triad. So my left hand stays exactly the same, playing the 3 and 7 from B flat 7, and my right hand is now going to play B flat minor, or I'm sorry, B minor. Right? Oh yeah, it's such a good color, right? Such a good. So this gives us flat 9, 3, flat 13, without really thinking about it. Invert them if you want to get some different colors. Oh, it's so good, right? All right, here's a C7. I want to give you, do we want to do the same one? Let's do the same one. This is a D flat minor triad on top of this one. It's a half step above the root of the chord, playing a minor triad. Okay, now for this B flat 7, I want to do something different. Let's put a G triad in our right hand here. So this gives us 3, 13, sharp 9, right? Or no, flat 9. What am I saying? Okay. Here's another one, F7. I'm going to give you a D triad in our right hand. So F, 3, 7 in our left hand. This is just our shape we learned earlier, and a D minor triad, or D major triad in our right hand. And maybe we'll do that B minor one here again, the same one we did earlier. If you want to know the logic behind how I came up with these, there are really 4 different upper structure options that I teach, and there's a free video here on YouTube that came out about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago. It's called The Simplest Way to Play Complex Jazz Chords, and you can go watch that video, and it spells out all 4 of these and in what situations you pick one versus another. Or of course, if you want to go even more in depth and nice and slow, you can come to the stuff with us on Fridays, the free workshops on Fridays, or buy the Chord Voicings course, and it will work you through all of that stuff. I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with me today. This has been so fun. Again, just as a reminder, today is the Black Friday sale. It is the last day of the sale. If you go to jazzlibrary.com, there's a big holiday banner on the page. You can't miss it. If you click that, it'll take you to this page, or there's a link down in the description. You can buy any of the 3 courses. The beginning improvisation course, which came out last week, that course is all about I think there's so many resources on YouTube about what scale goes with what chord and that kind of stuff. This is really more about like, how do I do something creative with that information? How do I create solos that actually sound melodic and interesting and inflect the jazz language and are like musical, I guess is what I'm trying to say, not just like scale exercises. So that beginning improv course is brand new. I think it's the best thing I've ever done. It's normally $159. It's $59 till today at midnight, then the price goes back up. The Chord Voicings course spells you through everything we did here today with all of those different left and right hand shapes and stuff like that and how you put them together to create these more lush voicings. It also talks about the upper structures. And if all of this is too advanced, it actually starts earlier than this and just helps you with some Bud Powell voicings, some simple 2-note left-hand voicings that you can play pretty much right away. So it's kind of good for everybody at all different ranges. And then the comping course is about, okay, I know the notes, but what do I do that makes people dance, right? What are the rhythms that I play? How do I articulate them? That kind of stuff. How do I be a member of a trio where I'm comping behind other people? What do I do rhythmically with all these chord voicings that I've just learned? All 3 of those courses, I think those are like the fundamentals of anybody who's just kind of beginning on their journey, learning how to play jazz. You can buy all 3 of them today for $150. It's like $327 off. It honestly, like, I know a lot of retailers fake their Black Friday sales, but I don't. It's $327 off, and the price is going to go back up at midnight tonight. So I hope you guys will take advantage of that. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Thank you so much. If I can ever do anything to help you, go to jazzlibrary.com and hit the contact sheet, or join our community, which is free, and come hang out with a bunch of us, or come hang out on a Friday afternoon in our live Zoom classes. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you, and I will hope you have a very nice, happy, safe, joyous holiday.